Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to play a very, very underrated tier 7 heavy tank. And of course, we are talking about the KV3. Not many people really talk about the KV3, but honestly, I still think this is one of the best tanks in tier 7 when played correctly. There are, of course, you've got tanks like the T29 also, which is one of the best tier 7s in the game, period. And that's another tank that people kind of forget about. But when played correctly, especially against people that don't know how to deal with you, i.e. newer players, then the KV3 is actually a very, very good tank. And it is one of the better tier 7 heavy tanks, but you have to play it correctly. If you don't play it correctly, then it is actually quite a poor tank. If you just go up, face them, they will penetrate you very easy. The art of this tank is kind of over angling. You've got to over angle, and then that is where you usually start to get quite a few bounces. So we're going to look at the stats and then we're going to get into just a couple of games. So the turret armor, 165mm. So on paper, not actually very good armor. And the same with the hull, 165. You know, it is what it is. It's not bad, but the tank is all about angling. And that is exactly the same with pretty much the whole line. The KV4 especially is even better at doing that job than the KV3 is. You've got 1700 DPM with a 13.5 second reload. So yeah, the reload is quite long, but you know, if you get bounces, then it's not too bad. You've got a average damage, penetration is 189 on your AP, 228 on your APCR, and 66 on your HE. We are running calibrated shells just to up that penetration a little bit. You've got AP pen of 400, 340 on your APCR, and 500 on your HE. Of course, the aim time is very poor at 5.2, the same as the gun dispersion at 0.398. You do only have 7 degrees of gun depression with a top speed of 30 kilometers per hour. So yeah, it's all about how you play the tank. And again, like I said, if you play it wrong, then it's a shit tank. I'm not gonna lie. If you do play it wrong, then it is an absolutely shit tank. And low DPM, the penetration, you know, it can suffer, especially if you are lower tier. But when you come up against those bottom tier tanks, the tier 6s especially, they will struggle a lot to be able to penetrate you. And again, you've got to angle. Honestly, if you don't angle, then you are playing this tank absolutely wrong. And it's not just angling, it's kind of over angling. And I'm going to try and show you just a little bit this game, and I'm going to also show you what happens if you don't angle correctly. So we're going to push to the right side. We have gone to the middle. The whole line is sort of a legendary line. It really is, sort of with the KV1, of course, it used to be one of the most played tier 5 tanks, and of course the ST, and then of course the KV4, which again is very much underrated, and then the IS4, which again was one of the best tanks in tier 10. Not so much now, but it kind of was back in the day. So you can see these guys pushing me, and you can see just how much I'm going to angle here. Look at that, how much I'm angling. And I know these guys are not the smartest, but that is how you kind of need to angle this tank. If you don't angle it like we just did there, then you are really going to suffer. So you can see we are playing very risky here. Yes, I'm going to try, well, I don't even get the kill there, but we've only bounced 200. But again, we're pushing far forward because we wanted to pretty much show how you need to angle this tank. And even coming up against this Kunzi Panzer, just look how much I'm angling. Most tanks you can't angle like that, and if they face you directly, they will be able to penetrate you quite easily. And then we angle a little bit there with the Zotto. So yeah, that is how you play the tank. It's pretty straightforward. I say it's pretty straightforward, but honestly, it is not pretty straightforward. It is very difficult to actually play the KV3 and the KV4. They pretty much play exactly the same. The KV5 does kind of play, if you've got the premium tank, does play very similar, but I think the KV5 does have a few more weak points. But equally, it is just as good. So you can see 1140 blocked damage. We've only got 1600 damage, but this tank really isn't about how much damage it can cause. It's not about the damage. It is about soaking up that damage. You know, you've got the mouse in tier 10, which I always say. The mouse is not about doing damage. It's about soaking up the damage. You've got the hit points, you've got the armor, as long as you angle it and do it and play it properly. It's not really there to do damage. The KV3 is like that. The KV4 is like that. Yes, you haven't really got the hit points to soak up, but you do have that armor to take the shots, and you need to try as much as you can to be able to get the bounces, because the more people bounce you, the less your team is getting shot and the less your team is, of course, dying. So, yeah, you just need to get the angles right. Sometimes, of course, people will try and angle, like even me, anyone really. You'll get in a position with the tank, you'll angle thinking it's good, you'll get penetrated, and then, of course, you just need to adjust. And people don't like to adjust as much as you need to in these tanks, because you look at some of the angles and you're like, yeah, I'm getting penetrated. They're going to penetrate me all day long. And then they just bounce because of the angles you are at. So I'm going to get this, well, not me, this Leonid has got 2 kills. He's bounced 400 damage so far. And again, it is a tier 6 game, so it's not going to be very difficult. The only thing you do need to watch out of, because it is a tier 7 tank, is them quick tanks. There are a lot of quick tanks out there in tier 6, tier 7, and of course tier 8. There are a lot of quick tanks. Now, you don't want to get caught out in the open, because it's not the quickest of tanks, hasn't got the quickest track traverse, and it hasn't got the quickest turret traverse. So you can really get caught out in this tank. So do be careful of that. And just like this guy here, I mean, he's not angling so much now, but he still manages to get the bounce. But yeah, you always have to try and find the angles. Don't just rush into the enemy thinking that you're going to bounce everything, that it's going to be a super heavy tank that's going to bounce everything that comes its way, because honestly, it is not that kind of tank. If you give them a free shot on your hull, as long as they're aiming, anyone will be able to penetrate you. So do bear that in mind when playing this tank. Now, you know, it doesn't get it definitely doesn't get the rating that it deserves. Now, I don't think it's better than the T29, so no, I don't think it is the best heavy. Of course, you do have tanks like the Tiger P, but they're different breeds of tanks. They're not so much about armor, they're also about DPM, they're also about speed. But when it comes to out and out sort of heavy, super sort of heavy tanks, then I do think that this is up there. I just don't think it's better than the T29. So if I was going to pick, of course, I would definitely pick the T29 over the KV3, but the KV3 can still hold its own. It can still do its job on the battlefield. So far 3,000 damage, 4 kills for our guy here. He's only bounced 800, so he hasn't bounced a lot, and as you can see, he's not angling, and he is getting penetrated from that Titan there. So it's now a 1 versus 2. He does need to clear that the FL10, because he can be a little bugger if you give him the chance. So of course he is going to try and go for him first, just like this Cromwell's just said. Yes, we know. And then he does still have a full hit point tank to deal with. So he's on 5 kills. He's on 3k damage. And he has to take care of this guy. But you know what's going to happen. This Shadow Hunter is going to come. He's going to try and pay attention. Nope. I don't know what the M4 was doing there. He's literally just cost the game. And even now, 800 hit points, that's plenty to deal with a tier 6 medium tank. And he can just go on. Yes, he doesn't have the DPM that the medium tanks has got, but this is how I wouldn't play it. Nowhere he's got, he does get bounces, of course, but I normally, if I'm going towards a player, I would always go at an angle. And you can see even here, like he's trying to hit his side. He's never, ever penetrating and him. And as you can see, he's up to now almost 2,000 block damage. So overall, 4,200 damage, 7 kills. And yeah, that is how you play the KV3. So very difficult tank to play because some people can over-angle and some people cannot angle enough. So you have to get it just right. Let me know what you think of the KV3. Again, I do love the tank. I think it is very good. I don't think it is the best tier 7 heavy tank, but I still think it is up there. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69 and I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye.